And to discuss the Liberal Party's policy on multiculturalism as well as the National Broadband Network, I was joined just a short time ago in our Parliament House studio by the Opposition's communications spokesman, Malcolm Turnbull. Malcolm Turnbull, thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you.
Why do Telstra's high-speed wireless broadband plans threaten the NBN?
Well, the NBN's business case, which is a very optimistic one, and even on that optimistic basis offers a very niggardly return to the taxpayer for the investment, assumes that wireless-only households will increase only fractionally from where they are today. Now, the experience internationally, of course, is that more and more households are moving to be wireless-only, and in the United States it's in the sort of 20-25% range, which is a lot higher than it is here at the moment. 4G wireless is very high-speed wireless. It offers the speed of, faster speed than you can get on fixed-line broadband today, so very fast broadband. And because of the convenience of mobility, it'll be a very compelling competitor. So it's not wireless or fibre optics to the home, Tony. It's not either or, but it will occupy. It'll be a significant competitor to the NBN. And look, it's not just me saying this. I mean, every broker's analyst that's written about this says the same thing. It will be a significantly more competitive with the NBN than the NBN's management thinks. And that's really the point.
Well, the Minister, Stephen Conroy, says wireless is actually a complementary technology. Only fibre connections can deliver the new services, like he says, in-home specialist healthcare and rehab services.
Well, that's nonsense. That's absolute tripe. The reality is that internet broadband services, applications, if you like, are delivered over a variety of platforms. Stephen Conroy's got this fixation about fibre to the home. I'm completely baffled why he has it. The government's policy should be completely technology agnostic. You know, we all ask yourself the same question. We all get access to broadband, and whether it's video or whether it's, web pages or whether it's, games or whatever you're doing, you do it over a variety of platforms. Wireless, ADSL over copper. You might be connected to the Foxtel cable over HFC cable. If you've got fibre optics to your home, some homes do have it, or to your office more likely, you use that. So there's a variety of platforms. And this one-size-fits-all approach that the government's taking is really so reckless and so unnecessarily extravagant.
Well, the NBN proponents say that wireless technology, even the super speed variety, is still limited by bandwidth, that it's in fact basic physics you're talking about here. The more wireless users there are, the slower the network speeds, and that is the reason, the primary reason why fibre is better.
Well, it's a reason, but it seems to be lost on the global population. The internet is becoming a wireless internet. I mean, this year, 2011, will be the year in which there are more wireless internet-connected devices sold than, let's say, smartphones and tablets and iPhones and so forth, than desktops and laptops. If you take Apple, which is probably the leading technology company in this area in the world, their revenues are 3 times as high from the sale of wireless connected devices as they are from the desktop variety. So, again, it's not either or, and Conroy is right to the extent that they are complementary. Yes, they do overlap, and many people will use both fixed line and wireless, but a lot of people use wireless only, and the only point, and this is really the only point we're making, is that the government's foolishness is to not live up to their own principles and policy. They came into office, Tony, and they said, we will not undertake any major infrastructure project without doing a cost-benefit analysis, which in this context means no more than this, saying what is the most cost-effective way to ensure all Australians have access to fast broadband. Now, if they did that analysis, they would get an answer which wouldn't involve fibre to every home in Australia. It would involve a mix of technologies. It would save tens of billions of taxpayers' dollars, and it would get those people who don't have good broadband now, good broadband, fast broadband, a lot sooner then they'll get it under the NBN.
Did it bother your conscience at all when some of your senior coalition colleagues started making a political issue out of the cost of the funerals of drowned asylum seekers?
Well, Tony, I think that's all been dealt with. I think Scott recognised that his remarks had been ill-timed, and he apologised for that. And I think we've just got to remember that
ill-timed or ill-thought out?
This is what he said, but I'm not going to run a commentary on Scott. He's a very good colleague, a very good friend, and he's doing a good job.
Okay.
Just say this to you. The coalition is absolutely committed to a multicultural Australia, to a non-discriminatory immigration program. We believe that one of Australia's greatest strengths is its cultural diversity. That we are the most successful immigrant country in the world. In my own electorate, in Wentworth, nearly a third of the people in my electorate were not born in Australia. We have achieved an extraordinary degree of harmonious integration of people from every possible culture in the world. It's a great achievement. We're proud of it. We are committed to a multicultural Australia. That is a reality.
So Liberal policy on multiculturalism will not change?
Absolutely not. It's the same now as it always has been, and has been for many years. Yeah.
Your colleague Senator George Brandis felt compelled to spring to the defence of multiculturalism in the newspaper today, as you have tonight.
Yeah. And George was very eloquent too.
Well, he
has a beautiful pen.
He said that attacks on Muslims reminded him of the sort of bullying that happened in the schoolyard against other migrant groups when he was a kid. Does it remind you of the same thing?
Look, I agree with George, and I do remember, George and I are about the same age, and we remember the same phenomenon. Look, can I just say this to you? The denigrating any religion or any culture or any race is absolutely anathema. And it's un-Australian, it is unhelpful, it exacerbates whatever problems there might be in terms of relations between people of different backgrounds. That sort of denigratory talk, denigrating people from one faith, undermines that harmonious relationship. And so George was very strong about that, and I am too.
So was Senator Cory Bernardi, another of your colleagues, un-Australian and unhelpful, when he said, "I, for one, don't want to eat meat butchered in the name of an ideology that is mired in 6th century brutality and is anathema to my own values," by which he means Islam.
Well, again, he's apologised for his remarks. He's free to eat whatever he likes, I suppose. But
is he free to say whatever he likes within the context that you were just talking about? I mean, you said that sort of commentary was un-Australian and unhelpful.
No, I've not made any comment about Senator Bernardi, but what I'm saying is people whether it is people denigrating Christianity or Judaism or Islam, or whether they're denigrating Greeks or Italians or, Chinese, take your pick. Denigrating people's religion, denigrating people's culture, denigrating their race is not the Australian way. It is not. Because if it were, we could not be the extraordinarily successful and diverse culture that we are. Can I say to you, the most successful cities and societies over history have been societies that promoted multiculturalism. They didn't have the word, but whether it is ancient Alexandria or Constantinople or Smyrna or even Rome or the United States itself, diversity, recognising the strength that you draw from other cultures, and when they meet together and are bound together, Tony, by a commitment to a shared set of political values. You see, that is the great thing about Australia. You do not define your Australianness by having a particular complexion or a particular religion or a particular, ethnic background. We are defined as Australians because of our commitment to the shared political values of this country, and that's why our society is so inclusive.
It's interesting to hear this, and it makes one wonder if there's a sort of battle going on right now for the heart and the soul of the coalition between Conservatives on the one hand and moderates like yourself, George Brandis, on the other hand, and because a lot of statements coming out of some of your senior colleagues seem to have come straight from the One Nation playbook in recent days.
Well, look, I reject that. I think the views that I've expressed are held by the vast majority, if not all of my colleagues. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I know the mood of the members of the House and the members of the Senate on our side, and there is a real commitment and a recognition of the strength of the diversity of Australia. But you see, it's a subtle thing. There used to be a time...
Is it a thing that's in danger in some way?
No, I don't think it is, but just let me finish. There's a subtle thing. There was a time, a couple of generations ago, when Australians saw themselves as being British. And so if you came to Australia from another country, you were meant to sort of go into the melting pot and come out of it British. But we recognise now that our Australianness is part of that diversity. I mean, you're a Jones, I'm a Turnbull, but we share in, are part of, and in effect co-own all of the cultures that make up our country. We share in the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year festival. We share in the Greek and Italian festivals. It is part of our way of life. It is the richness, the diversity of this nation that makes us so strong, and we must cherish it because it is precious and it is almost, not quite, but almost unique in the world.
I've got to just ask one final question, and that is, shouldn't Tony Abbott be making these kind of statements in defence of multiculturalism rather than the former leader of the Liberal Party?
Well, I'm sure Tony shares my views or the views that I've expressed entirely. I don't think he'd dissent from any of it, but it's up to him to, he writes his own material and he delivers it very eloquently when he does.
Malcolm Turnbull, we'll have to leave you there. We thank you very much for coming on the program tonight. Look forward to seeing you again.
Great to be